Hi, I'm Chef Sherry and I'm going to show you how to make an Alfredo sauce on the Blackstone Griddle. We've got a nice hot griddle here. It's been preheating on medium heat. We have a metal bowl that we're going to cook this in. I'm going to show you how to do that. Real simple ingredients. We have butter, flour, milk, some Parmesan cheese, a couple different types of Parmesan cheese, and we have a few seasonings that we're going to put in it. So it's very simple to do. So anybody can do this. Just give you a few tips. We're also going to be making some broccoli to go along with it and some grilled chicken. So we're gonna get that started. I like to do some real simple butter chicken. So I'm gonna show you how to do that quick. Let's see here. This is just some of your favorite oil. I use some olive oil just in a squirt bottle, so we're just going to squirt it on here. A little bit there. Spread it around. We're going to take our chicken pieces. I'm going to season a little bit of it before I put it on. I just like to use Lowry's seasoned salt and a little bit of Morton seasoning, like the seasoning pepper. That's pretty much what our family uses. We really like that combination. So I've got my hot griddle. I'm just going to take the chicken pieces, put them on the hot griddle here. And then I'm going to season this side of them. So you can use salt and pepper. You can use your favorite seasoning, chicken seasoning. You know, this is very flexible, very easy to do. So, and I'm just going to squirt a little bit more oil over top of it. Let that cook. Then to make the sauce, I have a medium-sized metal bowl here. And it's going to fit about half of this in here, so I want it a little bit bigger than probably double the size of what the sauce is going to be in here. So I'm just putting it on the hot griddle, and then I'm just taking the butter. I'm using a half a stick of butter and just going to melt that. We're just going to let this sit. And I've kind of adapted this recipe. I make this all the time on my stove, and I make large batches of it. I learned this recipe from my mom many, many years ago. She used to make this for us when we were growing up, and I've kind of tweaked it a little bit. This is a very flexible sauce, so you can do a lot of tweaking or use your ingredients that you have in your house. So I'm just melting the butter, letting that melt, and then once that's melted, I'm going to add flour to it, and I'm making a roux. So if you've ever made a roux before, that's all I'm doing here. And my chicken is cooking very nicely. I can hear it sizzling. And this is a very simple sauce that comes together very quickly. I've pre-cooked my noodles already, and so I have them all done, and that you can actually do a day ahead of time. You can do that, you know, a few hours ahead of time. So I'm adding the flour then to my melted butter. I'm just going to whisk. It's just going to make a roux here. And then I'm just going to let that cook for just a little bit. So Just gonna let that cook a little. And as you can see, it's just bubbling just a little bit. So if you need to use a hot pad, if this is getting too warm for you, I'm actually going to turn the burner down a little bit to low so it doesn't burn the sauce, it doesn't get too hot, because this griddle has been preheated and it's kind of pretty warm. So if the pan does get too hot, then just take an oven mitt or a piece of paper towel here and just hold on the edge. So that's starting to bubble up pretty good, which is what I want. And I'm just going to add some milk here. I'm just going to add, not the whole thing, so you're just going to do this in stages. So a little bit of milk, and then you're going to stir and you're going to let it cook. And it'll thicken back up again. See how it was runny, but now it's thickened back up again. And so you're just going to keep on doing that, just adding a little bit of milk. You don't want to add too much because then it's going to be all clumpy and your roux is just not gonna, you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna have to really whisk it to work it out. Just add a little bit at a time and then just work that roux into it so your sauce is nice and smooth. You want a smooth sauce. You don't want a real lumpy one. So, and then it's kind of liquidy, so I'm just gonna kind of let it cook just a little bit. Leave it be, let it cook. And I'm gonna look at my chicken. My chicken is doing pretty good. And I'm gonna flip that over. Ooh, look at the golden brown. Nice and golden brown, which is exactly what I want. So this recipe I also have on my website, FromMichiganToTheTable.com. If you like this recipe, subscribe down below and like my page. You can also go to my website, FromMichiganToTheTable.com, and get all this recipes. I have the sauce recipe, and then I also have the chicken, which I call this buttered chicken. My family just loves this, and I've made this recipe also on my website, which is herb garlic butter. And so I just have these frozen. I keep this pack frozen in the freezer. And so you can break this up in pieces and then just put on your chicken and then just let it cook. So if you don't want to make your own, I do have a hack for you. I'm going to get this on here like that. And we're going to just let it cook. So we found these in the butter aisle. So it's a butter medley, garlic and Parmesan, and it's just little butter packets like that. And you just pop it out. And then you can put right on your chicken. And it's just herb butter with a little bit of garlic and Parmesan right into it. Alright. So back to the sauce. It's cooking, so we're just gonna whisk out the lumps from the roux. So just vigorously whisk it out. It's thickened back up again. So it actually looks really, really nice. So I'm going to add some more milk. So I've only added about a cup of milk at this point so far. So not a lot. So my sauce again is back to watery, which is fine, perfectly fine. That's how I want it. So now we're going to work on broccoli. I want to have broccoli with this. So I'm going to put a little oil, a little olive oil on there. And I've got some broccoli that I'm just going to steam a little bit, cook up. Add some seasoning to it. And some water. We're going to steam it. And that's where the dome lid comes in. Put the dome lid on top of it and let the vegetables steam. Okay, so back to the sauce. So it's thickening up a little bit there. Still a little bit runny, which is okay. So we're gonna start adding the cheese. And so this is where you can add, I use 2% milk on this, but you can add whole milk. You can do heavy cream if you would like, if you really want a thick sauce. We just have 1% milk and that's all I use in it. So I am going to, and the cheese is another thing. You can do a variety of different cheeses. This is what I use. They also have a Parmesan Romano cheese that you can use. So I'm just going to add this to it. In this you can add as little or as much as you want. It's very flexible. So I'm going to start with that. Add in, and you can see it's getting thick. Your sauce is thickening up there. So I'm incorporating the cheese very well. The chicken is cooking. The chicken is cooking up good. So I am going to add some more milk. Just a little more milk. Incorporate it in there. So it's back to runny again. So which is perfectly fine. So it'll thicken back up. So then I'm going to do my Parmesan cheese. So you can either buy the pre-grated Parmesan cheese or you can grate your own. So I'm just going to grate a little bit of this Parmesan cheese into it. So the pre-grated is fine. And you can do different cheeses if you want to add a variety of different cheeses. You could do 3 different cheeses. Whatever kind of cheese that you want this recipe is very, very giving. This sauce, this Alfredo sauce is very giving. So I'm gonna grate some there, and then I'm gonna stir. So, and then the cheese will help it thicken up a little. We're just going to go like that. And then I'm going to add some of this pre-shredded cheese that I got here. I just kind of looked in my refrigerator, in my drawer, and just seen what kind of cheese that I had. So just going to sprinkle a little more. And this is the flaky Parmesan cheese. And then my chicken is looking pretty good, golden brown on both sides. So I'm actually going to remove, I'm going to leave those. I'm going to remove these front ones because this is hotter on the front than it is on the back side here. So I don't want my chicken to be overdone. You want to cook the chicken just to 165, and I try not to go over that, because if you do, then you'll have tough and dried out chicken. And this butter really helps to make the chicken nice and moist, nice and juicy. I'm just going to leave it like that. And I'm going to look at my sauce here. Ooh, it's thickening up nice and good here. Stir all that cheese into it and just let it cook. Check my broccoli here. Ooh, broccoli is perfect. So I'm going to pull my broccoli off and set it aside because it is cooked perfectly. Like that. And I think I'm going to pull the chicken off here. So we got the nice golden brown bits there, and that chicken is cooked perfect. Now, and then just set it aside. So back to the sauce. So it is thickening up very well. And then at this point you're going to want to season it, so you can add any seasoning that you like. We just do the seasoned salt and pepper. We add to it. So you're just going to let it cook and let it thicken. The more, when it cools, it will thicken also. So you do not want it super thick when you take it off the griddle, because otherwise once it cools a little bit it's going to be like paste, and you don't want that. So you do want it to be a little bit runny when you pull it off the griddle. So and I always suggest that you need to taste as you're cooking, as you're going along. So we're just going to, I forgot to bring out a spoon, so we're just gonna have my ladle here. Tastes pretty good. I'm just gonna let it thicken up and let it cook just a little bit. So you could do this in a pot on the griddle. If you have a all metal pot that you want to use, you can do this also. You can make this on your stove, the same sauce, but do it in a pot on your stove, which is this is the same recipe that I do all year long. I do it for my family that I've made for years and years. I've added cream cheese into this. If you want to add a few like an ounce or two of cream cheese into this, it works perfect. You can double this recipe, you can triple this recipe. When I'm doing for my family, I actually make probably double this, and then we have leftovers and they freeze awesome. They keep in the refrigerator for up to 6 days. I will do individual containers with the sauce, with the fettuccine noodles, and then the sauce, and then even the vegetables. I'll put pieces of the vegetables and stuff on the side, and then you just take and warm up in the container, and you have a lunch, an easy lunch for yourself that is homemade and tastes delicious. This sauce tastes amazing. And if you want to add more cheese, go ahead, add more cheese to it. If you want to add heavy whipping cream to this, you can add heavy whipping cream. If you want a thicker sauce, go for it. This is a very forgiving sauce. Oh, ooh, it's looking very good, I think. I think we're pretty good here. See, this is a pretty thick sauce. It's It's a little runny, but not too runny. It does have some consistency to it, and you do not want a thick sauce when you pull it off of the griddle. If you do get it too thick, then just take and add a little bit more milk to it. If you need to pop it up or warm it up a little bit, then you can do that. This sauce is very forgiving in that manner. So, alrighty, I'm gonna turn my burners off here because I'm all done. And I have my plate of noodles all ready for you. So I pre-cooked the noodles. You can use any noodles. You don't have to use fettuccine noodles. You can use any noodles that you have. Just cook up according to the directions. And the sauce is ready. Just pour like that over the noodles. Look how awesome that looks. Oh my God, this looks so good. And the sauce. And then we have a piece of the chicken you can put on the side. And some of the broccoli, the griddle broccoli that we grilled up. I have a spoon here. This is so good. You have to try this. Go to FromMichiganToTheTable.com for the recipe. I have the recipe down in the description box. I have a link down there that you can click on to get this recipe. If you like this, share it. Subscribe to my channel and let other people know about FromMichiganToTheTable.com. Thank you. Dip some of the vegetable into the sauce. My God, this is heaven. This is so good. You got to give this a try.